Hi everybody, this is Hero from the Birds. Welcome to another Shadowlands video. In this video, I'd like to talk a little bit about 9.1 Necrolord Holy Paladin and the duty-bound Gavel legendary that we can anticipate coming for Chains of Domination. I'm going to be looking at this just very briefly to talk to you about what I think is a very strong legendary for PvE raid scenarios. And I want to do that by talking about some of the things I was touching on a number of months ago when I went through my first round of Necrolord Holy Paladin gameplay and tried to talk a little bit about what I thought was the important scaling that Holy Paladins as Necrolords might see going into Chains of Domination. I didn't know what it was called at the time, but and other raids coming down the pipe. And this legendary seems to be doubling down, as many legendary effects coming in 9.1 seem to do for all kinds of specs. It's doubling down on the kind of throughput monster that Necrolord Holy Paladin is, lining up to be going forward. And I don't know if the world first raiders will buy into Necrolord Holy Paladins as a throughput king, but I think for most of us who are not in that scenario, who are just raiding and need most of our healing classes to just do lots of throughput to cover our mistakes and all those kinds of things, I think Necrolord is shaping up to be something exceptionally strong. And here's the reason for that. We talked last time about what Vanquisher's Hammer, generally speaking, is offering a Holy Paladin, which is essentially over a 5-minute fight, 10 free uses of a Holy Power Spender. And just to double down on the way that this works, when you press Vanquisher's Hammer, which is a 30-second CD, you gain 1 Holy Power. You empower your next Word of Glory to also cast Light of Dawn. So you don't actually get a free Word of Glory spend, like you can't just spend it right away. You have to have the 3 Holy Power available. But the next time you press Word of Glory, you'll also fire off a Light of Dawn. And what Duty Bound Gavel is doing is 2 things. Number 1, it's every time you press Vanquisher's Hammer, it's going to buff the next 2 uses of Word of Glory. So you build to 3, press Word of Glory, it'll fire Light of Dawn. You build to 3 again, press Word of Glory, another Light of Dawn goes off. But it's also going to add a charge system. And just to be clear about the way the charge system works, both charges of Vanquisher's Hammer do not cool down separately. They're on the same cooldown timer. So if you use a Vanquisher's Hammer and then use another one back to back, you'll only cool down one of those charges at a time, and once that gets to 0 and you can use it again, the other charge will start to cool down. So it doesn't mean you get 2 casts of Vanquisher's Hammer every 30 seconds for the whole fight. The best way to look at it is you have this 1 cast of Vanquisher's Hammer as usual, and you have 1 in reserve over the course of a whole fight. So if you need to fire off a little bit more throughput in a moment, you have that one that's a backup. Or if you need to hold it because there's some kind of movement mechanic, you're not punished for not using that charge. You have the other one recharging in the background. So that's actually a really nice quality of life change for Necrolords in general, because it felt like in my testing early on, when you had Vanquisher's Hammer and you were holding it, you were kind of wasting CDs. So what the Necrolord Holy Paladin really brings to the table is just a ton of extra raw throughput. And in the current live iteration, if you're not using Vanquisher's Hammer on CD, you're sort of tossing that throughput away a little bit. But in this iteration, it balances that out by giving you the extra charge. You can hold on to it and be reasonably sure that you're not wasting resources. Excellent. But the part that really strikes me, guys, is that they're doubling down on the power level of the extra Holy Power spenders that you're gaining. And as I said, in the original video, over about a 5-minute fight, you can expect about 10 in the normal iteration of Necrolord. Here with Duty Bound Gavel, you get about 20. Now, I just did some looking around at logs, and I'm just going to show you very briefly before I come back and talk about some of the significance of this. If you look at some of the top, I guess this is a Kyrian log, across the world, this is about a 5-minute fight, 5.11, I think it's Zymox. And I just want you to notice not the breakdown of healing, but the number of casts. So Light of Dawn is cast 53 times, and this person cast Word of Glory 7 times. That's a total of 60 spenders over the course of a 5-minute fight. So a 5-minute and 11 fight. If you had Necrolord and Vanquisher's Hammer, you can expect over 5 minutes 20 free casts of Light of Dawn, it would show up as Word of Glories, right? We would have plus 20 Word of Glories here. So that's 1/3 of the casts that this person did in a Mythic Zymox over the course of 5 minutes and 11 seconds. So a 33% increase. This is just taken, I'm not sure when this person did this, March 22nd it looks like. That's a lot of casts. That's a 33% increase to the number of spenders that you're using if you had taken Necrolord with this new legendary. And one of the things that's interesting, obviously, this is a Kyrian. We could have looked at a Necrolord to see what the differences are. But as we move back to talk about the significance of this in my mind, I look at the talents, and I think to myself, in the earlier Necrolord videos I made a big deal of how Divine Purpose and Awakening become really strong because we can get a significant uptime on wings. And this is made even more true if we double down on that. So the thing I'm thinking is, with Divine Purpose and Awakening and this legendary, you will see probably at the very least 60% uptime on wings over the course of a fight. And the reason is pretty straightforward, just like the way it works now on live. Getting extra free spenders, over 10 of them over 5 minutes, 20 with the new legendary, is going to give you a lot more opportunities to proc Divine Purpose and Awakening, and these are kind of a scaling factor in their own production. So those 20 free casts of Light of Dawn have a chance to give you Divine Purpose, and they also have a separate chance to give you Awakening. Any of those that gave you Divine Purpose suddenly make that next cast of Divine Purpose also give you a chance to get Awakening. Just see how the scaling can get kind of out of control. So if you doubled the opportunity to proc these, you are also scaling exponentially the opportunity for you to get Awakening and therefore get wings. And remember, guys, you're getting 10 seconds of Avenging Wrath, which is half of the normal duration of Avenging Wrath, which is significant because if Awakening only gave us like 5 or 6 seconds, or did something like in BFA where, what was it, Vision, that gave you a very small blip of your wings cast, or for other specs, a little totem squirt if you were a Resto Shaman, or fire off a Divine Hymn if you were a Holy Priest, that kind of thing. This is giving half of the duration of a 2-minute cooldown. One thing that's fascinating about this is if you press Avenging Wrath and you have it running, and then Awakening procs, it will add the 10 seconds on top. If you get Awakening and it's running down and you press Avenging Wrath, it will just set it to 20 seconds. So the point is this: if you want a massive throughput type of healer, and even damage, I guess, because you're getting lots of damage out of it too, hitting Avenging Wrath on CD is the best way to achieve that. And it's kind of awkward for Holy Paladins in general, of all covenants. When do I use my wings? When is this an appropriate thing to press? And generally the answer has been on cooldown, because it's a 2-minute CD, and if we're playing with Divine Purpose Awakening, or even just Awakening in general, the opportunity to get more casts is important. And they just add on top of the duration. So with this Necrolord Legendary, what you can see is Avenging Wrath on pull that has the potential to be extended indefinitely through this kind of interaction, Divine Purpose and Awakening, just by the sheer number of extra bonus casts we're getting. So just to sum up, Vanquisher's Hammer is a 30-second CD. So every 30 seconds with this new legendary, what we are getting access to is 2 bonus Light of Dawn casts, which is 6 holy power spent in that 30-second window. And just, based on the profile of how much holy power we normally generate in a 30-second window, that brings us kind of close to the use case for Vanquisher's Hammer, meaning you press Vanquisher's Hammer, the amount of time it takes for you to build 3 holy power, spend it, build another 3 holy power, and spend it, gets us to around the 20-second mark, something like that, 10 to 20 seconds, depending on our haste. So by the time we've spent those holy power and got the bonus Light of Dawns, we're getting ready to cast Vanquisher's Hammer again because it's coming off cooldown. All of this makes for really interesting math, but I think in practice, guys, if you're interested in being a Holy Paladin who just shoves a ton of throughput out very consistently over the course of a fight, you're not too worried about lining up CDs, you're not too worried about Divine Toll in a burst emergency scenario, Necrolord is going to be pumping. And this, of course, scales with a whole bunch of things, like extra secondary stats that we're going to gain through Chains of Domination, and power level is just going to make our wings even stronger. It'll make our damage and healing throughput that much better. And I think just the bonus 33% extra holy power spenders over the course of a fight is a significant bonus that we shouldn't ignore. Forget about the fact that we also get defensive value from Necrolord, and that we have things like some really good soulbind conduits in Hyremir with extra crit, and lots of really good stuff going on there. Anyways, I've talked for a long time about this. I just wanted to bring it to your attention since I'm not sure if people are really aware of just how strong duty bound Gavel is set to be. When I have a chance to actually test it out as Chains comes into play, and maybe once I get a chance to rejig some of my Covenant stuff to test it, I'll show you guys some demos of what I'm talking about and the kind of throughput you can expect. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments about this below, please feel free to let me know, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.